Hey everybody, this is TJR. Throughout my life, there have been music artists whose hits I have enjoyed, but have felt little need to dive deeper into their album discography. And then, throughout my life, there have been times when, inexplicably, and for no reason that I can really figure out, I will suddenly feel a tremendous, overpowering urge to explore that music artist's catalog in depth. For a good part of my life, War was one of those bands. Growing up as a teenager in the 70s, I enjoyed all their hits, and I would return to them over and over again throughout the decades. But it wasn't until a recent Record Store Day event that I began to suddenly feel very differently about this group. On this particular Record Store Day, one of the offerings was a very nice vinyl box set released by Rhino Records featuring the band's first 5 albums, with each album being pressed on vinyl for the first time since their original release. This includes War, All Day Music, The World is a Ghetto, Deliver the Word, and Why Can't We Be Friends? And I should clarify that this set was referring to the first 5 albums after the departure of Eric Burdon. Growing up as a young teenager in the 70s, I was completely unaware of the fact that the band had previously been referred to as Eric Burdon and War. And perhaps someday I will explore that era in more detail, but not right now. Leading up to Record Store Day, I found myself thinking about this set. I felt a real strong compulsion to purchase it, and I kept thinking this will be really cool to have. But then my more rational and more pragmatic side would take over and say, you've never heard these albums before. Shouldn't you listen to these first before you go out and buy what is probably going to be a very expensive box set? In the end, my gut instincts won out over my rational side, and I picked up the set on Record Store Day. I did an unboxing video back then, and back then I was impressed with the set visually as I unboxed it. But, as always, the real test is in the listening. This was Record Store Day, July 17th, 2021. So yeah, it's been a little while. But the last thing I wanted to do was just to consume these albums like they were fast food. I wanted to take my time and absorb them slowly. And that's why you're seeing this video now versus earlier. So did I enjoy these first 5 albums? Yes, I enjoyed them quite a bit. And I found that they surprised me in some very unexpected ways. The hits were the hits, but the rest of the album's music proved to be their own unique thing. Now, going into this, I was expecting a combination of soul, funk, pop, rock, and blues. This is what I expected, and I did get this, of course. But what I didn't expect was the band's frequent forays into instrumental experimentation. Throughout these 5 albums, there are jam sessions that were sometimes inserted into an actual song, maybe during the introduction, sometimes during the midsection, and sometimes standalone instrumental tracks without vocals or with such minimal vocals that they almost still qualified as instrumentals. I would describe these extended instrumental segments as being at times atmospheric, esoteric, and sometimes I found them to be very meditative. Looking back on my youth, I can see where I probably would not have had the patience for some of the longer jams like City Country City on the album The World is a Ghetto. Not to mention the 11-minute spoken word jazz experimental track entitled Fidel's Fantasy on the band's self-titled first album. This track was quite a bit of wild craziness, which is why I think it's good that whatever instinct compelled me to start exploring this band's catalog waited until now. My adult self is definitely more musically open to what this band was doing in the 70s than my teenage version of me was. The bulk of their albums were oftentimes quite different from their hits, and I guess this is true of a lot of bands. It's interesting to note that a lot of bands in the 70s understood the importance of crafting a hit single, but also could be artistically open for the rest of their album. Speaking of the hits, by the way, one of the things that surprised me was hearing the studio version of Slippin' Into Darkness from the album All Day Music. In comparison to its hit single version, the album version features a much longer vocal introduction and additional verses not heard in the 45 version. All Day Music also features a live early proto-traditional blues version of the song Me and Baby Brother from the album Deliver the Word, entitled simply Baby Brother. This 5 LP set, released by Rhino Records, features the first 5 albums in accurate and high-quality reproductions of their original packaging. Each one is pressed on a different colored vinyl. There is also an included album-size 4-page booklet with an essay by writer and poet Grant Eyre. Hopefully I've said that last name correctly. As I said earlier, perhaps at some point I will explore the Eric Burdon period for this band, or maybe the albums that came after the 5 included in this set. This set was an exclusive Record Store Day release and was limited to 5,000 copies. I don't know if Rhino Records intends to release this outside of Record Store Day, but of course the albums are available on CD and streaming. I kind of got the feeling that this Record Store Day release was a test to gauge interest for a larger release version, perhaps one on standard black vinyl. I really enjoyed these first 5 albums, and I will continue to enjoy them in the future. I'm really glad that I finally caught up with this part of the band's catalog. Let me know what you think. If you've ever heard these albums or if you want to hear them, please leave a comment. As always, if you like what I do here, be sure to click like, click subscribe, and smash the bell notification icon. That way you never miss a video. Also, if you'd like to show an extra level of support, please consider going to my Patreon page, patreon.com/TJR The Original, and consider making a monthly donation, or if you want, even a single donation. Patron supporters receive early access to select videos and also exclusive content available nowhere else. I want to thank everybody for stopping by, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.